We will continue with the Christmas story. Today we will read the story titled The Pancake Man. Once, there was a boy called Francis who lived with his father. His mother had died when he was young, and for many years, his father was very sad. When his mother was alive, every weekend one of them made pancakes for Francis. For many years after she died, Francis's dad never made pancakes, but one day, he woke up and said, "Francis, would you like pancakes for breakfast?" After that day, Francis's father made pancakes every day. He fell in love with pancakes. Francis was happy at first, because he loved pancakes and he loved watching his father flip them. Francis's father would buy bigger and bigger frying pans, and make bigger and bigger pancakes. Soon, he made giant pancakes, bigger than pizzas. He held the frying pan with both hands and said, "Ready?" Francis would say, "Yes, Dad." And then his dad would flip the pancake. The pancakes were so big that when he flipped them, they made a whooshing sound. It was like an aeroplane flying through the room. It was magic. But soon, it was too much. Every morning, Francis came downstairs and found a mountain of giant pancakes on his plate. They were so big that he could only eat one. His dad put the rest in a box for Francis to take to school, but he was sick of pancakes. They had pancakes for breakfast, lunch and dinner. So he gave the pancakes to his friends, and took their sandwiches and apples. His friends loved the pancakes, so Francis had an idea. "Dad, why don't you sell your pancakes?" Francis's dad looked afraid for a moment. "Oh no," thought Francis. "He thinks the pancakes are what connect us with Mom." "But Francis," said Dad, "the pancakes are what connect us with your mother. We can't share them with other people." Francis spoke carefully. "Don't you think Mom would want us to share them? She loved sharing food with people." Francis's dad started to cry. "Oh, Francis, you're right." So he ran a little shop outside their house and started selling pancakes. At first, he only ran the shop after work or on the weekend. But soon, his pancakes became very popular, and everyone started talking about the Pancake Man. His shop became so popular that he left his job and only worked at the pancake shop. Francis was very happy. Because his dad sold all the pancakes, he gave Francis money to buy different food. Finally, Francis could have pizza and pies and vegetables. He ate carrots until he was sick of them. Francis's dad was also very happy. Everyone loved watching him flip the giant pancakes, and they always clapped afterwards. Years later, everyone in the city knew about the Pancake Man, and they opened up a restaurant in town. While Francis's father flipped pancakes and ran the restaurant, Francis worked hard at school. He was very interested in space, and wanted to be an astronaut when he grew up. His father was so busy with the pancake business that he didn't see him very much. Francis finished school, and went to university to study astrophysics. He wanted to go to a good university, far away from home, but his dad wanted him near. So he went to the university in their city. It wasn't so good, but if he worked hard, he thought he could still go to space. But one day, Francis's father had a horrible accident. One of the giant frying pans in the restaurant fell and hit him on the head. He went to hospital, and the doctors said he didn't have long to live. Francis stayed by his father's side day and night. He couldn't believe it. His mother had died in a car accident. Wasn't that enough? Why did his father have to go at such a young age as well? "Francis," he said, "after I go, I want you to run the restaurant. Become the Pancake Man. It's what your mother would have wanted." Francis felt sick. He didn't want to run the restaurant. And he didn't think his mother would want him to. But this was what connected him to his father. If he didn't do it, he would feel terrible. "Okay, Dad. I'll do it." His dad died in the night, and Francis went to work. If he worked hard, he would feel less alone. But he quickly saw that there was a problem. He knew how to cook pancakes well, but the giant frying pans were too heavy for him. His father had grown strong from all the pancake flipping, but nobody else in the restaurant could do it. When Francis tried flipping the giant frying pan, the pancake didn't even go in the air. So Francis started lifting weights. He took the sadness from his father's death and used it to grow strong. He lifted weights for hours every day. His arms grew until they looked like trees. And then he lifted more weights. During this time, Francis couldn't sleep. When he wasn't lifting weights, he was studying for his astrophysics course. When he did sleep, he had strange dreams. He was flying through space, and he saw his mother. Or was it a star? He flew towards the star, but he never got there, and when he woke up he was crying. A few months later, Francis went back to the restaurant. All of the staff came and watched. He held the giant frying pan with both hands and waited for the right moment. Everyone held their breath. Then he flipped the pancake. Francis was too strong. He was too sad, too tired. When he flipped the pancake, there was a kablam. The pancake flew up and hit the ceiling. But it didn't stop there. It broke through the ceiling and kept going. It broke through the roof. Everyone ran outside to watch. Francis was still holding the frying pan. The pancake had flown out of the building and into the air. And it still didn't stop. It flew higher and higher, until it went through the clouds. On the news that night, they talked about the pancake. It had flown into space. An astronaut saw it, and quickly moved so that it didn't hit her. The pancake kept flying through space, until it was too far away and nobody could see it. Francis watched the news but said nothing. He was alone in his house. His mother's house. His father's house. He ate 5 carrots for dinner and went to bed. The next morning, Francis knew what to do. He went to the restaurant, took the giant frying pan and went to his father's grave. He put the frying pan on the grave. "Dad, I love you. Every time I eat a pancake, I'll feel connected to you. But Mom is calling me. She needs me, too." Because Francis knew. He had watched the pancake flying into space. That was where he had to go. He had to follow his mother's star. Francis put some flowers on the grave and then went home. He had some studying to do. God will bless you. We will continue with the Christmas story. Today we will read the story titled The Perfect Pet. Rory had always been an animal lover. But he grew up with 2 very mean parents. His mother said she had allergies, but every time he asked her what the allergies were, they changed. If he wanted a cat, she was allergic to cats. If he wanted a fish, she was allergic to fishes. If he wanted to go to the zoo, she was allergic to crowds. Rory's dad didn't have any allergies, but he hated animals. However, he loved eating meat, so when Rory said he wanted a cat, his dad said, cat. I haven't eaten cat before. We can get it nice and fat and then eat it." Then Rory cried and stopped asking for a pet. When Rory finished university, he moved to a small town, so he could have lots of space. The town had lots of dog parks, and it also had a cat park. Cat parks weren't normal, so he was very excited to go there. Rory thought a lot about what pet to get. Every day, he went to the dog park and the cat park. He talked to people and played with their animals. People told him that cats and dogs were hard to look after, but he didn't want to get a small pet. So one day, he got a big dog called Buck. Buck was an Alaskan Malamute, a big gray dog with lots of energy. Rory had always loved these dogs, because they were social and loved to play. Rory and Buck had a lot of fun. They went for walks twice a day, and they played lots of games. Buck never bit Rory, and he never peed on the floor. However, Buck had a lot of hair. Soon, the house was covered in hair. When Rory tried to clean it up, he sneezed a lot. Rory went to the doctor, who told him he was allergic to dog hair. Rory couldn't believe it. He was allergic, just like his mom. He thought maybe it would get better, but it just got worse. Soon, Rory was sneezing all day, and he couldn't play with Buck. So he decided to give Buck to a family on the street. They didn't have allergies, and they had lots of time to play with him. Rory cried all night after saying goodbye to Buck, but he didn't sneeze again after that. Next, he tried a cat. He made sure to get an allergy test first, and he wasn't allergic to cats. But he wanted to be safe, so he chose a Sphinx cat, a type of cat that had no hair. He also knew that Sphinx cats were very social and were a bit like dogs. He called his cat Aslan. In the beginning, he had lots of fun with Aslan. They played together and went to the cat park, and he had no problems with allergies. Sometimes, Aslan peed on the floor, but Rory taught him where to go, and this wasn't a problem. However, Aslan was a very social cat. When Rory was cooking, Aslan jumped up and tried to take the food. When Rory read, Aslan scratched the book, and sometimes he scratched the book so much that Rory couldn't read it. When Rory had a bath, Aslan jumped in the water and then got angry, because he didn't like water. If Rory didn't play with Aslan, then Aslan was mean to him. He scratched his legs and hissed. One day, Rory woke up and the bed was covered in dead birds. There were probably 30 of them. Aslan had killed all the birds and put them on the bed, as a present to Rory. "Enough," said Rory. He found a sad old woman who lived alone and gave Aslan to her. She loved the cat, and when Aslan scratched her, she just said, "Oh, be careful, my dear." Finally, Rory decided he wasn't ready for a big pet. So he decided to get guinea pigs. Guinea pigs were very pretty, and they were easy to look after. Some of his friends at school had guinea pigs, and he always wanted to play with them, but his mom said he couldn't because she was allergic. He got 2 guinea pigs, because they were very social animals. One was black, so he called her Black Beauty, and the other was pink like a pig, so he called her Babe. Black Beauty and Babe were sisters, so he thought they would be friends, but Babe was a very mean guinea pig. Babe was worse than both Buck and Aslan. When Rory gave the guinea pigs food, Babe ate all the food before Black Beauty could get to it. If he tried to give food to Black Beauty, Babe squeaked and bit him. If Rory played with Black Beauty, Babe started eating their little wooden house. And when Rory played with Babe, she always peed on him. It was like she waited until he was holding her to pee. But they were easier to look after than Buck and Aslan. If he wore gloves when he was near them, then it didn't hurt when Babe scratched and bit him. And he did really love Black Beauty. One day Babe will die, he said to Black Beauty, and then I'll get you a real sister. That day did not come. One morning, Rory put on his gloves to feed the guinea pigs. The gloves were wet, Babe had peed in them. He didn't know how she had done it, because they slept in their little wooden house, which was locked. But Rory had stopped trying to understand Babe. He washed the gloves and then went to see them. The little wooden house was red. Rory couldn't understand. It looked like paint? Then he saw it. Babe's mouth was red, covered in blood. Next to her was Black Beauty's body. But it wasn't all there. Babe had eaten most of it. There was blood everywhere. The door of their house was covered in blood. Their food bowl was full of blood. Rory felt sick. The door to their house was open. Babe had unlocked it. How could a guinea pig break a lock? But that wasn't the worst part. Babe could have run away. She could have run into the woods, but she chose to stay here. She wanted Rory to see this. She wanted him to see what she could do. She wanted him to be afraid of her. Rory took a deep breath and went to get his phone. He called the police. 5 years later. Rory loved his job, and he knew he was good at it. His little shop won a prize almost every year. If you looked at the shop, you would think it was just a normal butcher's. Rory the butcher, said the sign. Next to the sign was a happy picture of Rory holding a big knife. Under the knife there was a pig who did not look so happy. But this was no normal small town butcher's. If you stayed in town long enough, you might hear the stories. Rory was wonderful with animals, they said. If you visited once or twice, you might think that he was an animal lover. People brought their pets into the shop and talked to him about them. But it was always pets with problems. People brought in angry dogs and mean cats. Rory never went near the animals, and he always held his big knife. When Rory knew a customer well, he waited until they were alone in the shop. Then he said, I'm selling a new kind of meat, you know. Just come with me into the other room. Oh, and bring your pet. Strange things happened in that small town. Mr. and Mrs. Foster had a dog that peed in their beds. The children loved the dog, but the parents hated it. Then, one day, while the children were at school, the dog ran away. Nobody could find it. The children cried and cried. Don't worry, children, said Mrs. Foster, I'm sure we'll see Spot again soon. I went to the butcher's today and got some lovely steaks for us all. That will make you feel better. Sometimes, Rory's mother rang him and asked how the business was going. You've changed, you know, she said. I haven't changed, Mum, said Rory, and laughed. I still love animals. But I love them more when they're dead. God will bless you. We will continue with the Christmas story. Today we will read the story titled Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Goldilocks story. Hello, Mr. Judge. My name is Goldilocks. I'm called Goldilocks because I have golden hair. Well, my mum says it's golden. I just think it's yellow. You probably know me. Everyone knows me in our village. So you'll probably believe my story, as well. One day, I woke up very early. I had a terrible dream, and I couldn't sleep again. I didn't want to wake up Mum and Dad. Mum and Dad have to work so hard, you know. Dad works at the clothes factory, and Mum cooks food for me and all my brothers and sisters, and she cleans the house, and she washes our clothes. Oh, it's all so much. But I didn't want to stay in bed. You see, I had a dream about a bear, a big, brown bear, that lived under my bed. And of course I knew that there wasn't really a bear under my bed, but I didn't want to stay in bed, because I kept thinking about the bear in the dream. So I went into the garden. I thought the night air would help me feel better. Mum always says that fresh air can make anything feel better. I went out, and it was such a beautiful night. The stars were all there, and the moon was so big. I decided to go for a walk. Mum always says, if some fresh air doesn't help, then what you need is a walk. While I walked, I thought a lot. Oh, I can think so much. Dad always says I live in my head while everyone else lives in the real world. I walked and walked, and then the sun began to rise, and I realized it was morning already. Oh no, I thought. I must be home soon, or Mum and Dad will worry about me. But I was lost. All I saw was trees, and I didn't know where I was. So I walked some more, and finally I found a little field. And in this field, all I could see was a little house. Oh, it was such a nice house. I thought it must belong to a nice old lady, or a kind but lonely man, and he would look after me while I waited for Mom and Dad to come find me. You see? I really do live in my head. Then I smelt something that stopped my thinking. It was so sweet. It smelled so warm and nice, so I went closer to the house, and I saw a little bowl by the window. It was a bowl of porridge. And the sweet smell was honey. Oh, it looked so nice. And then my stomach made a horrible noise. Grrr, grrr. It sounded like the bear from my dream. And then I realized I was so hungry. I wanted to eat the porridge very much. The window was open a bit, but I couldn't open it more, so I couldn't get the porridge. I went and knocked on the door. Hello? I said. Nobody answered, but the door opened, and I thought, well, I'm sure that the nice old woman or kind but lonely man who lives here won't want me to be hungry. They will want me to go inside and eat the porridge. So I went inside and into the kitchen. There, by the window, were 3 bowls of porridge, a big bowl, a normal-sized bowl and a little bowl. I tried the big bowl first, but oh, it was too hot. Ow. So then I tried the normal-sized bowl, but oh, it was too cold. Brrr. So then I tried the little bowl, and it was just right. Yum. Perfect. But I couldn't eat standing up. Mom always says you must sit down to eat. So I took the bowl and put it on the table. There were 3 chairs, a big chair, a normal-sized chair and a little chair. I tried sitting in the big chair first, but oh, it was so hard. Oof. So then I tried sitting in the normal-sized chair, but oh, it was too soft. Bah. So then I tried sitting on the little chair, and it was just right. Yay. Lovely. I sat down on the little chair and I ate my porridge. I ate all of it, because Dad always says you must eat all your food. But then the chair broke. Ah. Now I felt very bad. I had come into the house of this nice old woman or kind but lonely man, and I had eaten his porridge and broken his chair. What a bad girl you are, Goldilocks. I thought. And then I felt bad, because I did not want to be a bad girl. I felt so sad, but I had walked for so long, and the chair breaking was such a surprise. Now I was tired and I wanted to sleep. Well, I thought, I am sure that the kind but lonely man I was sure now that it was a kind but lonely man who lived here I am sure that the kind but lonely man won't want me to be tired. So I will go and sleep, and when the kind but lonely man comes home, I can explain everything, and oh, we will laugh so much. Ha ha ha. So I went upstairs, and I found a room with 3 beds. Now, you might think, well, Goldilocks, would a kind but lonely man have a room with 3 beds? He lives alone. Maybe it is not a kind but lonely man who lives here. But I thought, oh, this man is so kind and so lonely that he has 3 beds, so that 2 visitors can come and stay with him. And I felt so sad, because I thought that maybe the kind but lonely man had never had a visitor. Anyway, one of the beds was big, one was normal sized, one was little. I tried the big bed first. But oh, it smelled. The bed smelled of animals. And I thought, that's strange, because I had a dream about a bear under a bed, and this bed smells like a big bear. Then I tried the normal-sized bed, but oh, it smelled. It smelled of perfume. That's strange, I thought, because the kind but lonely man doesn't have visitors. But maybe he puts perfume on the bed so it smells like a visitor. And then I felt very sad again. Finally, I tried the little bed, and it was just right. It didn't smell. Yay. And I closed my eyes and slept. Well, when I woke up, oh, it was horrible. I woke up and saw 3 bears. And I thought, I must be dreaming again, but no, I wasn't dreaming. The bears were very angry, and I couldn't understand why the kind but lonely man had bears in his house. Maybe the bears ate him. I thought. And the big daddy bear, he shouted, you ate my son's porridge, you broke my son's chair, you slept in my son's bed. And I couldn't believe it. Bears don't make porridge, or have chairs, or sleep in beds. Well, I did the only thing I could. I ran away. I jumped out of the bed and ran out of the house. But oh, the bears also ran. They ran after me. They tried to take me and eat me. They wanted to make Goldilocks porridge. But I'm a fast girl, and I had eaten and slept well. So of course, I ran away, and I found the way home. Phew. But oh, after that day, I have horrible dreams every night. I know now that the house belongs to those bears, but what could I do? I needed that food and I needed to sleep. But the bears tried to eat me. So, don't you think those bears owe me some money? They almost killed me, God will bless you. We will continue with the Christmas story. Today we will read the story titled Mummy Bear's Story. Mr. Judge, I will keep my story short. This girl has already spoken long enough. I woke up before sunrise. I always wake up before sunrise. While Daddy Bear and Baby Bear slept, I made our porridge for breakfast. Yes, bears do eat porridge. And our house does belong to us. Many animals have houses these days. I made the porridge and woke up Daddy and Baby, but the porridge was too hot to eat. So I said, let's go for a walk. We often go for a walk in the morning sun, and it is lovely. While we walked, there was a horrible smell. It was the smell from that clothes factory, where Miss Goldilocks' father works. Actually, in that factory they make fur coats out of dead bears. So it is really quite horrible for us to smell that factory. Baby Bear always wants to know what that smell is, but I never tell him. Well, we went for a long walk, so we could get away from the smell of fur. When we came back, we found the door open, the porridge eaten, the chair broken, and the bed slept in. Oh, Daddy Bear and Baby Bear made a lot of noise. Who's been eating my porridge? Who's been sitting in my chair? Who went into my bed? And somebody ate all my porridge. Somebody sat in my chair and broke it. Somebody went into my bed and is still sleeping there. Of course, I was sad as well. A mother does not want to find all these things. But I do not like to get angry. When we found the girl, I asked her why she was in our house. Well, I tried to ask her, but Daddy Bear got angry and shouted. You can understand why. But the girl started crying and then she ran away. We only wanted to talk to her. We did not try to eat her. But we had to know why she had come to our house. So of course we ran after her. But she was faster than us. And if we went into the village, some people might have killed us and made us into fur coats. So, Mr. Judge, as you can see, Goldilocks has made many problems. She broke our chair and now our son is very afraid. He won't go outside. He is not having bad dreams because he cannot sleep. So don't you think that girl and her family owe us some money? The judge's decision. The judge did not know what to say. He was very glad that he had not worn his fur coat that day. But Mummy Bear was looking at him, and he felt afraid. She could eat him so easily. He cleared his throat. It is clear that something very strange happened on that day. We cannot know what is true. But Goldilocks is just a child. And her family is poor. They owe you money, yes, but they do not have the money. The factory only pays enough to buy some bread and cheese, you know. If they gave you the money, they would not have enough food. I can't do that. Huh? Said Daddy Bear. You people always help each other. People are more important than animals, huh? Shh. Said Mummy Bear, but we live in a country of magic. And someone has used magic here. I dash. Hey, I didn't use magic. Shouted Goldilocks. Only bad girls use magic. Are you saying that because we are talking bears, we must be using magic? Said Mummy Bear coldly. No, said the judge. I did not say that. But, well, most animals don't talk. Animals who can talk have magic in the family. Your mother or your grandmother was magic, wasn't she? Mummy Bear said nothing, but looked down. Ah, thought the judge, so it's true. Goldilocks laughed and Daddy Bear quickly looked at her. She stopped laughing. So, we will do this with magic. Goldilocks, you will go and live in a castle until you are 18. A magic castle, of course. But some strong boy will come and find you. And Mummy Bear, you, or your husband, must drink a magic drink that will make you a swan. A swan? How can a swan cook porridge? Mr. Judge, this is dash. A castle? Said Goldilocks. But how will I see my brothers and sisters? I'll be so bored. And I don't want a strong boy, I want a kind but lonely dash.